Welcome to episode 3 of Busted Buttons. I gotta tell y'all, I had a really rough week at work, so I'm glad it's over, but I might be a little bit amped up still, so I might go in on a couple things. But I'm also trying to get away with this podcast and escape to gaming, so I might relax a little bit. We're going to be all over the place with this podcast, but we got some good stuff. We're going to talk about some open world games and then kind of open world versus hub versus linear concept. We're going to talk about consoles giving away to streaming. Had to look at my notes. I don't even know what the hell we're talking about, to be honest with you.
Most weeks we don't. It's okay.
Yeah. Next gen console, we're going to talk some price points, what we want to see. Fortnite, is it good or bad? Games as a service, and I see you right there, Wii U. Wii U, I might go off on you. You might be the victim tonight. And then we're going to talk about some other things after that. We have a lot of topics. We're not always going to say all of them up front because, to be honest with you, we don't know if we're going to get to all of them. But that's kind of the direction we're going to go. So, Red, you want to go ahead and start us off?
Well, first, I just want to twist that knife a little bit more by saying I've got a 3-day weekend and you don't. So
yeah, whatever.
I'm just really trying to get you pissed off for this recording. I want to hear you go off on some stuff.
Like I said, I'm going to get away a little bit, but I'm also a little bit amped up, so I might go in on a couple things I just don't know yet.
Well, I think a great place to jump into here is we spent a little bit of time in our first episode talking about the upcoming console generation that's going to be coming out. And in some recent news, I've been hearing the last few days that Sony's been having a hard time getting the cost of the PS5 down below $450 or so. So I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the price point, kind of what's your prediction for the price point for these new consoles? How expensive is too expensive to where you won't buy them? What's your ideal target? Just hearing the news that the cost is going higher and higher. And I imagine it's got to be the same for Microsoft because there's so many common components between the two consoles. So I guess I just want to say, what price point would you like to see for the new consoles?
See, this is the hard thing for me because you and I are fortunate to I don't want to brag or come off as assholey, but we are fortunate enough to kind of,
you always come off as an asshole.
Hey, okay, whatever. But we are fortunate enough, both you and I, to be in a good financial position. So luckily, I don't have to worry about that stuff as much. So the price point, it means a little bit, but not a lot. But I know for a lot of people, I think you got to come in with that similar price point that you've had with other consoles. I think it's usually around $400 for the new console nowadays. So, if you're talking $450 versus $400, I don't think that's a big deal. But when you get into that $500 range, that's where you might start to struggle a little bit because $500, that's a lot for a gaming console right there. So I think... I'm going to buy one no matter what now. Depending on the cost, I might not buy them both at the same time.
Oh, exactly.
I think that $400 frame is real good, but
me too.
You know what? If there's a couple little things you got to do to bump it up, I don't know. I don't know what the reaction is going to be.
I know, and I worry that once you start hitting that 500 number is going to scare off a lot of casual consumers out there. It's going to scare off parents who might be buying it for their kids for Christmas, birthdays, whatever. It's just, $400, $399. You're like, okay, that's good. I can handle that. When you start seeing 500 or $499, man, I do think that that's where they'll both come in. Unfortunately, and like you said, we're in a pretty good shape that we can, even if we don't buy them both at the same time, we're gonna end up buying them both at some point. So plus whatever next thing Nintendo comes.
But we understand that a lot of people aren't in that same position, so we understand that this is a big deal to them. That's why we're talking about it, and it still is a big deal to us too.
And I know that both console makers have historically sold their consoles either basically at cost or even at a loss, and then relied on software sales, the subscription services to recoup some of that money. And I think with how popular both the Xbox Game Pass and the Xbox Live, of course, Gold, and then the PlayStation Network and PlayStation Plus, I think they're getting so much revenue just from those services that they could afford to take a little bit of a loss. Especially Microsoft, because they've got just so much freaking money. We talked about Google having fuck you money. Microsoft has that kind of money too.
But I remember people talking about, I think their video game consoles do bring in a lot of their money. Now, obviously with Microsoft, you have computers, but I think for Sony, their consoles do bring in a lot of their money. So
they do, yep.
I think the next generation, every generation is different. But I think the next generation, I think it's going to be really different because, like you said, we got all the streaming subscription-based cloud gaming, so that's going to be interesting how they go about it. And just, the game is changing. It's always changing, but it feels like lately it's changing more, and you're getting a lot of these video gamers that are that it's a job for them, and they're making money off of it. So you got to kind of cater to them too. You got microtransactions, and I think kind of spending in game. I know you hate that, but it's a fantastic business model.
It absolutely
me. So I mean, I think that's going to continue. I don't really mind it that much. Like, hey, let me pay a little bit. I've never really done that. Actually, I don't think I've ever done that. But, it's something that, hey, if I could spend $1 and get this, or actually I did. I think in Grand Theft Auto 5, I think you could buy like a treasure map or something like that. Or there's a game I played.
There was something,
It might have been The Witcher. Was it The Witcher that you could buy a treasure map for like $1 or something like that?
Yeah, not that I know of.
Okay, well, one game that I played somewhere along the line had that, and I don't really mind it too much. Hey, maybe I can get this or that maybe somebody else doesn't have. So I think it's a great business model. Going forward, it's going to be important. All this cloud gaming is going to be important. So it's going to be, in my opinion, it's going to be totally different this next generation.
And that's why I'm almost worried. I know we had a really good discussion on this on our Discord channel. But like, is this generation or the next generation going to be where we kind of have the death of the traditional console model, and we get to where, you just buy a streaming box and everything is done in the cloud. I know you and I both love that feeling of going to the store, buying a new. We like our toys. We love our electronic toys. So for both of us, we love that feeling of owning the console. It looks great. Well, some of them look great in the entertainment system. Some of them look pretty hideous. I'm not gonna lie. But as we get more and more into like the xCloud and Google and everyone else that's getting into the streaming, is this going to be the last generation, where we have traditional consoles? And personally, I always love the feeling of owning that console, even though, yes, the $400, the $500 up front does suck. But at the same time, that's yours. It will play your games. With some of these streaming services, it could be you're totally relying on the providers to keep those streaming services open. As soon as they shut down the servers or whatever, guess what? There go your games. So,
and what about these places that don't have great Wi-Fi? Like, what do you do about those places? Now, at the same time, how much money are those places contributing to the overall sales? Like, if they're only making up 1%, then, the companies aren't going to worry that much about them. But you got to think, now, yes, Wi-Fi is going to continue to get better and better, but there's a lot. And I know one of our writers for Two Guys Playing Zelda lives down in Puerto Rico, and he was kind of talking about like, the future and subscription base and like all this online, not online gaming, but doing everything over a cloud and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it's really still not an option like everywhere in Puerto Rico because they don't have the technology infrastructure. Man, I'm pulling out some big words.
That's a good word score right there.
That the US has. So, I think, okay, you can sit there and say it's not going to die because of that reason, but then you got to be like, like I said, how much money are those areas bringing in? I don't think the console is going to die, but here's what I do think is going to happen. I think it's going to become something like an Apple TV or a Fire TV where you have like this little box and that's all it is. And that's like, that doesn't matter to me because my PlayStation is huge. I've never put a disc in it. The only time I touch it is when I'm dusting it. If the PlayStation 4 was the same size as like an Apple TV, it would not affect me at all the way I play.
But I know a lot of people, though, do love the physical media. They love having that disc, especially people who buy like some of the collector's editions and things like that. Plus again, like with a lot of the consoles are bigger because you got to have the hard drive space in there and things like that. And if you do switch to streaming, the need for that goes away. The need for a powerful video process, a graphics processing unit goes away, and it's just replaced. But like you said, you worry about alienating some people in the rural areas or the less developed countries. And even if they are a smaller percentage of the sales, though, the bad publicity that can come with that by Microsoft or Sony or Nintendo basically saying, yeah, we know you can't do this, but we don't care because you're only 1% of our sales.
Yeah.
Hopefully their marketing departments are smarter than that. But, there's always that risk of you get the bad publicity that even if it's a small minority of people that can't access the service, you better believe they're going to be loud about it because if we know anything about some hardcore gamers and things like that, they are vocal. So I am worried that, going that route where you're relying on high-speed internet, you are going to alienate a small but loud portion of your fan base, and you get that negative publicity, and it can sink a company. I mean, remember when the Xbox One was launching and they couldn't really deliver their message very well. And everyone latched onto that and just buried them with it. And that between that and the price point, they were screwed before they even came out. So I think that publicity and getting that image correct is so important, whether it's a console or a streaming box, either one. So I love having the traditional consoles. I mean, I'm with you. Most of my games are downloaded as well. So whether it's the size of a console or the size of an Apple TV doesn't make a whole lot of difference to me personally. But still, something about owning that console still feels pretty awesome.
Well, when you got 3 damn kids, it takes up too much space, man. So that's my problem. If it's like an Apple TV, it just doesn't take up as much space. The wires are going to be about the same really nowadays. But one thing I know, when the games start coming out and you had to kind of have a Wi-Fi connection or an online or internet connection, like people kind of lost their crap about that. Like, I want to play and not have to worry about being online. And that's a lot of games nowadays still require you to be online to do certain things. Now, usually you can't play them, but if you want to do certain things, like I said, you have to be online. I know a lot of people don't like that. I don't like it sometimes because my, internet kicks off or whatever. So
thanks, Spectrum.
I got different internet, but sometimes I can't play because Wi-Fi goes out every once in a while. And here's the thing. You're always going to have better performance with a big piece of hardware. You can't go storage because I think storage it's already going to the cloud. And I think like the storage on, in the box, in the system, the storage in the system, it matters, but it's going to matter less into the future. But you still got all that processing stuff in there. And having that box, the bigger one, or the bigger system console, whatever you want to call it. I don't know why that Xbox. That's why I'm calling it a box. But, having that system
it looks like a damn
where
box,
you can put more hardware in it, I mean, it is going to allow you to run games probably at a higher frame rate, a higher resolution. So, you got to think about that. Maybe we don't get away from it because it does allow you to do more and it will look better.
Yeah, I'm with you there. But, kind of while we're speaking about consoles, you had mentioned that you wanted to spend a little time riffing on the Wii U a little bit.
Hell yes.
I know that's kind of going from next generation to the prior generation. Yeah. But
prior, because we got the Switch.
Yeah, no shit. but yeah, let me hear about the Wii U. Let me hear it.
Man, the Wii U, it's one of those systems. I enjoyed the Wii U. I thought it had a lot of great games. I definitely think I got my money out of it. But it was one of the worst mistakes that Nintendo's made. And, it was so bad. Okay, first of all, why... Now I'm getting upset. Why the fuck do you not call it the Wii 2? That is, the dumbest move they've ever made. They've made
terrible.
You get the Virtual Boy. That was a dumb move. Well, maybe that was just a little bit too early. But, yeah, call that thing the Wii 2. The Wii is selling millions upon millions of units, and then you try to confuse the hell out of everybody by calling it the Wii U. Nobody knows what the hell the Wii U is. And most people thought that it was just another part that went on to your Wii system, like a Sega CD.
I was guilty of that too.
But
I was guilty of that too.
Bad example because that's exactly what it is.
Yeah,
but go ahead.
I was guilty of that too, though. I didn't know that it was a whole new console.
I think I said something to you.
Yeah, so I'm like, wait, what the hell are you talking about? I thought it was just a tablet that somehow went with your existing Wii. So yeah, the marketing, and we talked a little bit about messaging and marketing just a few minutes ago, but damn, could you have a worse starting point than they did with that? Yeah. Everyone's like, what is this? I'm with you there. It's just, I do agree though. I loved it. Yeah. I thought it was a great system with great games. That range on that tablet, though, was absolute garbage.
Yeah, it was 20 feet or something. It was terrible. You could hardly... I mean, basically, you had to sit not right beside the console, but you had to pretty much be in the same room. Now, I do think, these companies are thinking so far ahead. So I think when they were kind of designing that, they might have had the Switch in mind. You don't really know, but... The concepts are a little bit similar, so maybe that was kind of the first step in getting to the Switch. I didn't really like the gamepad. Yeah, it was big and bulky, but... Having that tablet screen and kind of interacting for the games, you know what? Why does every game not use a freaking gamepad with Nintendo?
Right?
It's not that okay. It probably is hard, but when you make something like that, and then 90%, I don't know if it's 90%. It's a lot. It's a damn lot. Okay,
a lot.
But when that system the gamepad doesn't interact or when the game is not shown on the gamepad for that many games, it's just incredibly frustrating to me.
Yep. And that's why I loved the way the HD remakes of the Wind Waker and Twilight Princess used it. You had that second screen where you could have your mini map or you could have your inventory and you could switch weapons without having to go into your pause screen. I mean, you have to look down from the TV to the gamepad, but I thought that was like the map. The map alone is just a fun, practical way to use it. And the fact that more, kind of adventure style games or even racing games that have a map, things like that, didn't use it the way they fully should have. That's just a simple way.
Yeah.
And I know, yes, then you have to control for, okay, this person's playing with the Pro Controller instead of with the gamepad, blah, 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 or they're playing on the gamepad itself. But I mean, like, Nintendo was able to do that very easily with the Zelda games. You just select which one you're playing with when you fire up the game, and it goes accordingly. So I'm with you. I think it was a big wasted opportunity. There were some great games. Thankfully, we're seeing them ported to the Switch.
Yeah.
And I do think it was an important step to the Switch, like you mentioned. It's just like, it showed that, okay, yes, we can have this console power in your hands. It just sucked that, you had to be standing 5 feet from the console.
And I'm the sucker that bought the game on both systems, like numerous games on both systems, which I was like, I got this game on the Wii U. I am not going to buy on the Switch. One night you have a little bit too many beers. Oh, man, Mario Kart 8 on the Switch? Oh, that's a no-brainer right there. So
that's 8 Deluxe on the Switch.
Talk about the games that had both Zelda HDs. You had Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, Mario Kart 8. You had the Super Smash Brothers, or not, well, you had Super Smash Brothers, but you also had the Super Mario Brothers U, Captain Toad, Mario Maker, which was a great, like, innovative game, and then Mario 3D World, which you heard my opinions on that last episode. It was a good game, it was a Mario game, but when you're looking at all the other Mario games, okay, the camera didn't go all the way around. It infuriates me in that game that there's sometimes
it's 3D, come on.
Yeah, the camera only goes certain angles, it doesn't go all the way around. Especially like after that was after Mario Galaxy. Like, what the hell, Nintendo? What are you doing? I told you the Wii U was gonna make me upset. I was gonna go off on it, and just I really enjoyed the system. I thought it was a great system, but Nintendo's marketing and the naming and just the way they went about the whole thing, like, you guys screwed that up. It was a great system, and you screwed it up.
I mean, and just the marketing alone. Just call it the Wii 2, showcase some of the games, and boom. It's Nintendo. People who love your first-party games will buy it if they know what the hell it is.
Exactly.
So I'm not quite in the same boat as you in terms of buying games for both. I think Mario Kart, of course, because you
haven't found them on sale yet.
Yeah. And then I did buy Bayonetta 2 for both of them because I freaking love that game, and I can't wait for Bayonetta 3, which they need to give me more news about. Come on, Platinum Games.
Well, I saw your tweet about this. We've not had Nintendo Direct in a while, so we
haven't.
That's
people are losing.
Apparently, that's a big issue for people, and I'm like, I didn't even know there hadn't been one in a while.
People are freaking out about it. I mean, people are just like blowing their mind. They're like, we don't know what's coming this year outside of Animal Crossing and a couple other ones.
That's
but I'm
true.
like, dude, patience. And when it comes out, people are just going to bitch about it anyway. They're going to say they didn't get what they wanted, and so they were pissed when they don't get one, and they're going to be pissed when they finally get one. So I just think some gamers can't be pleased. A lot of people just want something to complain about. I get it, but man, be patient, people. It's Nintendo. They will put out good stuff. Even if like Animal Crossing or Pokemon was their last big one, aren't stuff that you and I necessarily are really into, they're still huge sellers for Nintendo. So it's like, it's not like games haven't been coming out, I get people want to know, though. Some people, have to budget a little better. Like you said, we're in a good spot, but not everyone is, where a game is a big purchase for some people. I mean, $60 ain't cheap, let's be honest. But, so I get that people want to know so they can start thinking ahead a little bit. Plus, it gives people something to get excited about and something to think about. But I just think everyone needs to calm down. Nintendo has so rarely failed us. It's like, hey, when it's ready, it's ready. When you've got news, you've got news. I've got a big enough backlog of freaking games as it is. Mm-hmm. It didn't help when I got drunk and bought Astral Chain and Dragon Quest XI the other day, even though I still have about 30 other games I need to
You got a backlog. You're like, oh, hey, let's buy more games.
I got tired of seeing them on my freaking Amazon wish list is what it was.
Were they on sale? Did you buy them on sale?
No, they were both like $51.
See, I understand. Like, if you see a good sell and you got backlog, I think every gamer has a backlog of games.
Oh, absolutely.
But if you find a game on sale, I'm like, okay, I can understand that. But man, paying full price, we got backlog. Yeah, man, I don't know.
I was pretty drunk. Let's be.
But it's gonna be. It's going to be very interesting to see what the Switch does with this next generation coming up. Like, because they're not going to have a system.
Yeah, it is.
They're not going to have a system for. I don't know, 2, 3, 4 years. So what? And that's maybe why they're being quiet this year, because you got all this next gen coming up. I think it's a time where they need to get out and like actually do some stuff and be competing. Yeah. But it's just going to be very interesting this year with the new systems dropping, Nintendo Switch. Like, I think they still got a good part of the market, and their games are still awesome. But what are you going to do when these beasts come out next gen?
You know what they're going to do? They're going to drop Breath of the Wild 2.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're going to do.
And I am wondering if they're kind of being a little quiet, so they're waiting for the hype for the next gen to kind of get built up a little bit, so they can just walk up, show Breath of the Wild 2 release date, drop the mic and walk away. Be like, yeah, you guys can have some shine for your new consoles. We're coming out with a new Zelda game. Fuck you all.
All right, let's switch it up a little bit, because there's a concept that I really want to talk about, and it's this whole open world versus a hub system versus linear. And I know, Red, you're kind of like me. You like a little bit of each. Like, I learned the hard way that I cannot play 2 open world games back to back, because I did Witcher 3 and then I did Red Dead Redemption. I was like, oh, this is too much. This is way too much. But I kind of just want to talk about, like, we love each of those different kinds, but when's the right one? Like, which one do you like more? Just kind of go ahead and go really wherever you want to with it.
Well, I mean, like you said, I love all 3. In my favorite is probably kind of like the hub system.
Agreed.
And kind of going back to, there's the beer working. Anyway, sorry about that. Anyway, I couldn't hold that one in. Like going all the way back to like Ocarina of Time, I think was the perfect like beginning, or maybe not the beginning, but where hub games really started taking off, because like Hyrule Field was your big central hub, and off of that you had the Kokairi Woods, you had Lake Hylia, you had Hyrule Castle Town, you had Kakariko Village and Death Mountain. So, but by having that central area, that everything else is just kind of like a spoke off of that. I really like that system, and I think the new God of War, from 2018, really perfected that, where the Lake of the Nine was such a good central area where there was still plenty of stuff to kind of do in that made it feel, it had a little bit of an open world feel, but then you could go in so many different directions where it got a little more linear when you got off that central hub. So to me, I think that structure combines the best of, but when it's done right anyway, combines the best of an open world, and then it also has like the smaller linear areas off to the side. So how about you? Which one do you prefer?
Man, I really wanted to say what you said about God of War. And the way you were talking, I was like, okay, he's not going to talk about God of War. It's going to get to me, and I can talk about it. And
I stole your thunder,
and then
sorry.
You stole it, man. But, I'm going to kind of bounce off of that. But actually, I'm going to talk about that. Like, agree with you. I'm going to agree with you, basically. And just, it had
That's
that
a shocker,
right,
first of all.
It had that right mix of exploration, but not being open world, and just that's my favorite kind. That is my favorite kind. But I do love open world games. My favorite game is Witcher 3, and just being able. Okay, first of all, I will talk about this topic later on. But like just being able to go like wherever you want to, in the scenery. Oh my God, the scenery in some of these open world games is just so beautiful, and just. I don't know, man. Just see the landscape and how it changes. Like, you got water areas, you got beaches, you got mountains, you got deserts. Like, it's just so cool. And, I don't know where I'm going, so I ran out of ideas on that one.
I totally threw you off with the God of War. I'm sorry. I'll take the blame for that one. So, but I'm with you. Like, the open world games, I think, have some of the most beautiful are some of the most beautiful games, because you get those like the vistas, the horizons that you can see out there. It's just like the views you get in open world games, I don't think can really be replicated with the hubs or the linear system, or at least not as well.
And the sunsets and the sunrises in open world games, I mean, you just can't beat those.
You really can't. And I'm kind of with you. I played several back to back and kind of burned out a little bit on them. So that's probably tainting my view a little bit. Yeah. Because I did Breath of the Wild, or I did Witcher 3, Breath of the Wild, and Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh, wow.
Back to back. And that's a lot. That's a lot of open world gaming, but all 3 of those I consider some of the most beautiful games ever, though, and they will they'll always stick with me for a lot of different reasons. But the visuals being one of them. So, but you know what? Sometimes you just want to sit down and pound through an action adventure game in like 6 or 7 hours.
Definitely,
and that's where the linear ones really come in.
Well, I mean, open world games, you're looking at like a good one. about 100 hours to 150 hours if it's something like Witcher 3, but you're adding on those awesome and amazing DLC packages. Blood and Wine, the best DLC ever released.
Oh my god, amazing.
But like you said, like you can't play that many of them in a row because they take so long. And so it is nice to come back to those linear games that they're about 10 hours long, but you got your Uncharted, like all 4 of those games, well 5 if you count the Lost Legacy. Those games are all blast.
That's still sitting in my backlog.
Very short. Like you can get through those pretty quickly. You have the Last of Us. You got the new one coming out. So it's
Can't wait. Whoa.
I love all 3 of them, and I like to play them in different times, obviously, because I like to switch it up. Because okay, I just did a 150-hour game. Now I want to do a 10-hour game, and get the story quickly, and then move on to another game after that.
Plus, I think with the linear games, you really get they tell a more cinematic story sometimes. I think, and sometimes people say, "Oh, I feel like I'm railroaded in. I don't have any choice over." I'm like, but if it presents a great story, I'm okay with that. Like people kind of rip on the Call of Duty games, not even touching the multiplayer, but just how the campaigns are kind of linear. You're kind of railroaded in where you go. I'm like, but they're visual spectacles. I mean, it's like you got stuff blowing up everywhere, bodies flying, all this stuff. It's like the cinematic experience of a linear game it almost matches like going to a movie, only you're controlling the main guy. I think it's easier to tell the story you want to tell as a game developer using that linear system, because you don't have to worry about the player just wandering off to the wrong country right off the bat like you do in an open world game. So for me, I do think the linear has that strength of being able to tell a better story. But as we've seen with some of these open world and hub games, God of War's story I thought was amazing. I thought the stories for The Witcher 3 and Horizon Zero Dawn being open world games were amazing. So it used to be, it was kind of one or the other. Either you get an open world and a crappy story, or you get a linear experience with an amazing cinematic story. And I feel like developers, and this is kind of getting a little bit off what we're talking about, but developers are doing a better and better job of bringing a strong story to an open world game. I think Horizon Zero Dawn and Witcher 3 both had amazing stories to go along with the open world. So if that keeps happening, I mean, my preference might start sliding a little bit that way. Preferences change all the time for one thing, but I still think that hub is that sweet spot right in the middle though. And God of War, I think, is of this generation is the perfect example of that.
That was a fantastic game, man. Yeah, but the music, I think the music is better in open world games. You just get some of those landscape sounds, and then you also get some more calming, relaxing music. Switches up when you go to different areas. Actually, that's most games. But then,
still, I know what you mean though. You go to different towns, you go to different
and then in open regions. World, you get a city like Novigrad. And The Witcher, I mean, just you can't get that with the other games. And then, but here's the thing with open world, do you want this or do you not want this? And that is, most games are not truly open world from the beginning. There's a little tutorial, a little beginning area. And so when you say open world, that's after you kind of get going a little bit. Like in Breath of the Wild, you had the Great Plateau. Witcher, you had, oh crap, I should really know that.
The Orchard.
Yeah, the Orchard. So
I can't remember the name of it. Yeah, the Orchard.
So when we get an open world game in the future, do you want to be able to go anywhere you can right off the bat? Or do you like that starting area to kind of get you going and teach you the game? Not so much a tutorial, but just kind of bring you into the game a little bit.
I'm kind of torn on this one because I think it's important to have a bit of a starting area where at least you get a little bit of the story right off the bat, or you learn some mechanics, you get into the game before everything truly does open up. And I think especially from a story standpoint, kind of being a little railroaded at the beginning just to bring you into your story is important. But one of my all-time favorite games is The Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, which you literally walk off the boat and you're given instructions by the first guy you talk to, and then you can go anywhere though. There is a starting town, but you can walk right out of it. You can walk right out of it. It's overwhelming because you can easily wander into areas you are not prepared and not equipped and leveled up enough to handle. So I'm a little torn on this one. I like it for getting the story going, but then again, like I said, one of my all-time favorite games throws you off the boat and says, here's the world, go do your thing.
All right, Red, Fortnite. Is it good or bad? Transition into the next topic, which had zero transition whatsoever. But you know what? We don't really know how to do transitions. Maybe that's something we'll learn.
We're learning
as this podcast goes along. But anyways,
we're learning.
Fortnite. You know the craze behind it. What's your whole thinking?
I like the mainstream attention it has brought to gaming in general, because now more so than ever, gaming is in like culture. It is so ingrained in culture now. I love that it's basically created a whole new industry in terms of streaming, or it didn't create it, but it's helped explode its popularity of, streaming, Twitch, Facebook streaming, all these services now. It's from a business standpoint and the business of gaming, I think it's been an amazing thing. I mean, esports are more popular than ever. And of course, Overwatch and Call of Duty and League of Legends, and a couple other games help that too. But then when it comes to like, that's what people are associating gaming with now, though, is Fortnite. It's just a battle royale shooter with cartoon characters. I'm like, it's not what I want out of games.
Yeah. Well, that's not all gamers, though. Yeah, a lot of gamers do play that, but there are also a lot of other gamers that are playing a lot of other games. Here's my thing with video gaming. We always talk about this. It's an escape. You're supposed to enjoy it. So if you're enjoying whatever game you're playing, if you're enjoying it, like, that's cool. That's awesome. And so I don't have a problem with Fortnite if you're enjoying it. Now, if it's one of those things that you're trying to make money off of and it's stressing you out, well, then you're losing the concept of video gaming in general. So
for sure.
I mean, people like different games. And if that's the game you like, whatever. And I was kind of reading up on it today to kind of, I knew a little bit about what it was, but I really didn't know a lot. And from what I was reading, like, apparently you could be a beginner and like just jump right into the game and pretty much get going right off the bat and not get killed right away by everybody. I'm sure you got to practice a little bit and get better, but you have a chance, I guess. I don't know if it's easy to learn the game. I don't know how the game works exactly.
Yeah, I've never played it personally, but I will say, like, its accessibility is unbelievable. I mean, first of all, it's free.
Yeah.
It's free to play. So you can play it on every console. You can play it on every PC. You can play it on your cell phone, for crying out loud, which blows my mind. And they make all their money off, these battle passes, which they have like seasons. You have the microtransactions to buy, just costumes and skins for your character, your weapons. I know some people worry that model will become more prevalent and more popular and kind of push the traditional AAA game development out to the margins. But I think when you see these other studios that are still putting out amazing AAA games, you've got your Marios and Zeldas, of course, but you've also got The Last of Us is a great example, God of War, all these games that are they're still doing their thing like they've done for 30 years.
And they're usually Game of the Year candidates too.
Absolutely. So I don't see Fortnite as a bad thing. Now, if more and more games kind of start going that route, and we see it a little bit with what I kind of call, or the industry kind of calls, like these loot shooters, like Destiny 2, The Division, things like this, where the game is more of an ongoing service, and they count on that ongoing revenue stream from people using microtransactions, all that stuff. If things keep going that way, I'm not going to be happy about it. But I don't think there's any proof to prove that AAA games are going anywhere right now.
Yeah, like, there's obviously going to be some games and studios that go that way and make some of those games. But those other games, like the AAAs, the single players, those aren't going away because there's still a lot of fans out there. We kind of talk about us being in the mid-30 range. Those are the games that we'd like to play. And yes, there's some mid-30-year-olds that play Fortnite and those, what do we call them, loot shooters. But there's like a lot of the older generation, I think, still likes those single player experiences, and so we're willing to pay for them. And Fortnite, it's gonna you're gonna see a lot more games like that. Obviously, 'cause you got Overwatch, you got Apex Legends. I don't know all of them, but I know you got more like that. So you're gonna see a lot more of them because the companies want to make money, and that's obviously. I saw something like Fortnite's making like $300 million a month. That is,
it's insane.
That's ridiculous. So you can't sit there and bash on the studios or the creators.
Oh, hell no.
When they're making money like that. So you're going to see a lot of those games because it's a great business model, but it's not going to take over all of video gaming.
I don't think it will either. And a perfect example is the new Star Wars game that just came out at the end of last year. EA, who is a parent company of the people that produced it, was surprised. They were like, we were thrilled with the sales of it, and that is a strictly single player game. I get that Star Wars is massively popular as an IP. I get that, so it's probably a little bit of an outlier. But at the same time, I'm like, it was EA, who is vilified for just being craving money, and it's like, but they we're happy with it. And I'm like, I'm hoping that success stories like that, like, of course, your Nintendos are always going to have those great single-player games. But like God of War, which was an easy game of the year, I thought. It's just, I'm hoping those success stories continue to fuel these studios to really put their passion into creating these awesome single-player experiences. Because I know not every game designer out there wants to be working on another damn Battle Royale game.
Yeah, exactly. Man, when the Game Awards that one year when you had a God of War and Red Dead Redemption 2, which had just came out.
Spider-Man
Red Dead Redemption 2 is like it's been a month or a little bit over that, and it's win all these awards, and I'm like, man, the God of War better win Game of the Year. Red Dead Redemption 2 is only been out for a month. There's no way it wins Game of the Year, and luckily, God of War did win Game of the Year.
Yes, it did.
But, kind of like, I guess we didn't talk about this when we were talking about the open world section. Like, you want to talk about beautiful landscapes and beautiful open worlds. I didn't really get through much of Red Dead Redemption 2, but I can tell you that landscape and the dialogue and the interactions with the characters, I understand why it was up for numerous awards that one year.
For sure.
So
I've heard it's one of the most beautiful games of all time in terms of the world and things like that. I will get it eventually, but I heard just some of the mechanics of it.
It's too realistic.
Yeah, and it makes it tedious.
Yeah.
And what did we just talk about? We like playing games for fun as an escape. I don't want to sit here and have to clean and feed my horse every day.
Yeah. Well, one of the things was to like get some kind of upgrade. I forgot what it was, or a lot of the upgrades. Like you had to like kill animals. You had to get leather for a lot of these upgrades,
gotcha.
And to get that, you had to kill animals like perfectly. Like your arrow had to be a perfect shape or a perfect condition or whatever. And then you had to hit the animal perfectly. If you didn't, you didn't get like the perfect pelt or whatever it's called. And like I tried it a couple times and I was like, wait, that wasn't a perfect pelt. And I was like, I'm not going to worry about this. And then that was the only way to get upgrades. And that's when it became too realistic. Yeah, like the dialogue, the landscape is great. The dialogue is great. The characters acting is great, even though they're video game characters.
Well, yeah.
But then like you could do a lot, but then it was hard to do upgrades because you had to do things to perfection, and just that part was too realistic, and that's really what turned me off to the game.
I just don't have the time or the patience to try to get perfect at games. Which is a big reason too why people in our age bracket and older don't play online or multiplayer games.
It's too hard.
Let's be honest. We got kids. You got kids. I don't have kids.
Yeah.
But, kids, family, relationships, jobs. I mean, it makes it very tough to get good at any of these games, and then by the time you get good, the next craze has already come around. Like, I know Fortnite's been around for a few years, but before that, it was, Call of Duty. Before that, it was Halo. There's always something else coming along that as soon as you get good at something, guess what? The kids have all moved on to something else.
I like single-player games so much because I'm the best one at playing it.
Hell
you,
yes.
you put me in Fortnite, I'm going to suck ass, man. I'm going to get my ass beat. But when I play a single player game, I am the best player in my house. And I really like that. So, that's what appeals to me. I don't have to worry about keeping up with other people. Yeah. Like you said, these games, to get really good, like you got to play a lot. And we just don't have that time to do it.
No, we're competing against people who stream their games for 10 or 12 hours a day. I'm like, I don't want to spend 10 or 12 hours a day doing anything except either eating or sleeping or drinking.
I thought you were going to say drinking beer, to be honest with you. But
that one's definitely up there, too.
Let's kind of switch it up a little bit here and talk about adapting video games to like TVs or movies. We've seen this a lot with The Witcher. The Sonic movie actually just came out recently. We're seeing more shows and more movies. Maybe if they start making more video game movies, they can get away from all these damn superhero movies that they're making. But kind of talk about what's your feelings on that? What do you want to see made? What do you not want to maybe see made?
I like the idea. It's just I feel like the industry still, like the movie industry still treats them kind of half-assed.
Yeah.
And you get so many horrible video game adaptations, but I think that's changing. Like Detective Pikachu was really popular not that long ago, and it was also reviewed really well.
Yep.
Sonic, I've already read a couple of decent reviews online for, and it's like, and then of course The Witcher has been unbelievable.
I've still not seen it yet. I want to. I just haven't sat down and watched it yet.
It's worth watching. And then the Castlevania cartoon that was on Netflix was very well received. So I'd like to see more things like that, where the industry actually takes it seriously, gets some name people involved, get some good, because video games are such a source for stories and worlds, and that I think that the history of crappy video game adaptations has kind of blinded the movie industry or the TV industry to, hey, there's a gold mine of IP out there already with a pre-built fan base in so many cases. And it's just, obviously, we're huge Zelda fans. I would love to somehow see the Zelda series get an adaptation. So they're getting there.
I think for a lot of these, though, a lot of video game franchises, I want to see a TV show over a movie. It's hard to wrap everything up, in my opinion, like video game wise, in 2 hours. And I just don't think movies cost a lot of money to make, and you got to make a lot of money off of them. So I don't think we're going to see a lot of that, and you're not seeing a lot of it. I mean, like that Mario Brothers, that one flopped, and we'll kind of see how Sonic goes. But we just not seeing a lot of them. I think it's just too much money, and you're not going to bring enough money in. But with like Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime, all these companies doing their own original shows now. I think video game franchises, we could see them there. And like I said, I'm not seeing Witcher yet. I really want to see it, but
it's good.
Give me like a franchise and a TV show of like 8 episodes and a couple of seasons. I really like that idea.
I'm with you there. And like I said, I think the success of The Witcher will hopefully help spawn us in that direction. So, well, you want to go ahead and take us home here?
Yeah, I'm going to take us home. If you want to support us, you can give us a review or a rating. Just click 5 stars. Like there's a star, well, depending on what podcast platform you're on. But usually there's like a star system. You can just click it. That really helps us out. A review really helps us. If you want to support us financially, you can go to our Patreon account. Or that's kind of like a monthly thing. And then you get some benefits from that. And we're always working on updating and getting more benefits. We got a PayPal account, and all these links will be in the description of the show. PayPal, if you just want to do like a one-off donation for us. We got some video game merchandise on TGPZ Gaming. TGPZ. And then we also got some Zelda merchandise on our Two Guys Playing Zelda website. We got blogs on those websites. We have a lot of fun. We have writers on both.
A lot of good content.
Just talk a lot of video games and a lot of Zelda, obviously, on the Zelda one. And then social media, just look us up. We're on everything. Twitter,
We're
Facebook. Twitter, Facebook, what I say?
Instagram,
Discord. Yeah. We got Discord for Two Guys Playing Zelda, so you can check us out a lot of places. Talk to us. We're always want to talk video games with everybody, so we just love it. And hey, Red, I know that we didn't want to talk Zelda our first couple of episodes because we've been doing that for like 6 years or so.
We're doing that for a while.
But I say next episode, all our Zelda fans that came over, let's talk a little bit of Zelda next episode.
Sounds good.